The house doesn't need luck. It needs time. Right now, somewhere on a casino floor, a 19-year-old kid is putting his last $300 on red. He thinks the odds are against him tonight. He's wrong. The odds were never for anyone on any night. They were built decades ago by men in suits who never once had to sit down and play. This is the story of one building, 6 jobs inside it, and one guy, Eddie, who's going to work every single one of them, from the felt table under the lights all the way up to owning the building itself. Rank 1, Dealer. Eddie starts on the floor, blackjack table 6, 8 hours a night, under lights that never change and in a room with no clocks. That's not an accident. Every casino on Earth is built the same way. No windows, no clocks, no way to feel time passing. You lose track of the hour. You lose track of yourself a little. That's the point. Eddie deals. Shuffle, cut, deal. Shuffle, cut, deal. He does this thousands of times a shift, and he learns fast that his face is a tool. He was trained to keep it still, not cold, not smug, just still. Because the moment his expression changes, someone at the table reads it. A flicker when they hit 21. A flicker when they bust. So he flattens it. He becomes the most neutral person in the room, on purpose. He watches a man in a leather jacket lose $400 in 11 minutes. He watches a woman celebrate a $50 win like she just paid off her mortgage. He watches a couple argue in whispers over chips they can't afford to be spending. And through all of it, Eddie deals the next hand, and the next, and the next. Here's the part nobody tells you before you take the job. Tips are good on a winning table. They're better on a losing one. Guilt spends generously. A guy who just lost $800 will still toss Eddie a 20 on his way out. Not because Eddie earned it, but because the guy needs to believe somebody in that room isn't part of what just happened to him. Eddie's job, whether he signed up for it or not, is to be the human face on an outcome that was decided by math before the cards were even shuffled. By month 3, Eddie stops seeing chips. He sees people's rent. He sees car payments. He sees birthday money. And he keeps dealing because the deck doesn't care what the money used to be for. He's good at this job. Too good, maybe. Because being good at this job means being invisible. The dealer nobody remembers, the smile nobody questions. And 6 tables away, someone is watching him do it. Someone whose entire job is to notice the people who never get noticed. Rank 2, Pit Boss. Eddie gets promoted. He's not dealing anymore. He's watching the people who deal. Pit Boss. 6 tables at once, and his job now is pattern recognition, not luck, not intuition, patterns. He learns to read a table the way a doctor reads a chart. Within 4 hands, he can tell you if a player is up or down for the night. Within 10, he can tell you if they're chasing their losses, betting bigger not because they think they'll win, but because some part of their brain has decided that if they just get back to 0, they can quit. They never quit at 0. Nobody quits at 0. Eddie knows this now. It's practically a law of physics on this floor. He also learns to spot the other kind of player, the ones who are too good. Counting cards isn't illegal, but it's not welcome either. And Eddie's new job includes clocking the guy in seat 3, who's been flat betting for 20 minutes and then suddenly jumps his bet the second the deck runs favorable. Eddie doesn't confront him. He doesn't have to. He just makes a call, and within 10 minutes, a pleasant young man in a suit is inviting that player to enjoy a complimentary drink somewhere a little quieter. The guy never plays that table again. Eddie starts to understand something about the building he works in. Nothing that happens on this floor is improvised. Every dealer, every light, every chair without a clock in sight, it's all one machine. And Eddie's job now is to make sure the machine never skips a beat, whether a player is winning or losing. Especially when a player is winning. Winners get watched closer than losers. Losers, the house has already got. He remembers standing at table 6 a year ago, sweeping chips with a flat expression, thinking his job was to be invisible. Now he understands his old job differently. He wasn't invisible. He was being watched too, by someone exactly like the person he's become. Rank 3, Floor Manager. Next rank, and Eddie's job changes shape again. He's not watching individual hands anymore. He's running comps. The free rooms, the free meals, the show tickets that show up in a player's account like a gift from a friend. Except they're not gifts, they're math. Eddie now has access to something called theoretical loss, a number the system calculates for every player based on their average bet and how long they sit at a table. It predicts, with startling accuracy, how much a person is expected to lose over a session. And the comps Eddie hands out aren't based on how much someone wins. They're based on how much the system expects them to lose. This is the part that changes something in Eddie. He watches a retired school teacher get comped a beautiful ocean view suite, not because the casino likes her, but because her theoretical loss for the weekend crossed a threshold in a spreadsheet. She thinks she's being rewarded. She's being retained. The room isn't a gift. It's bait shaped like a gift. And it works because nobody feels like they're being manipulated when the manipulation feels like hospitality. Eddie learns the real currency of a casino isn't chips. It was never chips. The real currency is time, how long you can keep a person in the building. Every comp, every free drink, every just one more hand on the house is designed to answer one question. How do we keep this person from walking out that door before the math catches up with them? He starts noticing it everywhere now, even outside of work. The whole world runs on the same trick sometimes. Keep people comfortable enough, entertained enough, hopeful enough, and they'll stay in the game long after the smart move would have been to leave. Eddie doesn't say this out loud to anyone, but he starts writing it down. Rank 4, VIP Host. Eddie gets pulled off the floor entirely now. New title, VIP Host. New job, manage 6 high rollers personally. Their birthdays, their favorite scotch, their preferred dealer, their private jet's landing time. Eddie becomes, functionally, a very expensive concierge for a very specific kind of client, the kind whose losses fund entire wings of the building. One of his 6 clients, a man Eddie will only ever call by his first name in this story out of respect, loses $340,000 in a single month. Eddie remembers the exact number because he's the one who submits the comp request afterward. A 5-star dinner, top-shelf steak, wine that costs more than most people's cars. The man eats it, laughs with Eddie, shakes his hand, and thanks him. Genuinely thanks him. On his way out the door, having lost more money that month than most people make in 5 years, he tells Eddie it was a great trip. Eddie used to find this stunning. By now, he doesn't. He's stopped being surprised by what people are willing to lose to feel important for one night. Because that's what he's really selling, more than comps or steak dinners. He's selling the feeling of being someone. The velvet rope pulled back just for you. The host who remembers your name and your kid's name and how you take your coffee. It costs the casino almost nothing compared to what it earns back. Attention is the cheapest thing in the building, and it might be the most profitable thing they sell. Eddie starts to see his 6 VIPs not as reckless, not as stupid. They're mostly smart, successful people in every other part of their lives. He starts to understand that the house isn't beating them with better math. Everyone at that level already knows the math. The house is beating them with belonging. And belonging is a much harder thing to walk away from than money. Rank 5, Casino Manager. Eddie stops working with people almost entirely now. He runs the entire property's numbers. Every table, every machine, every host, every comp, it all rolls up into reports that land on his desk every morning. And here's what the reports show him, over and over, in every possible configuration. The math is simple and it never changes. The house edge on any single hand of blackjack is small, often less than 2%. On a single hand, anyone can win. Anyone. The house has no advantage worth mentioning on any one bet, but run that same small edge over 1,000,000 hands, 100,000,000 hands, every table, every night, for years, and the house edge stops being a probability. It becomes a guarantee. Not luck. Arithmetic at scale over time. Eddie doesn't gamble anymore. He hasn't placed a bet in years, and it's not because he's disciplined. It's because he's seen the spreadsheet. He knows exactly what he'd be doing if he sat down at one of his own tables, voluntarily donating money to a machine he built to be unlosable. On the house's side, he'd rather set the machine than feed it. This is the rank where something in Eddie goes quiet. He's not angry about it. He's not even uneasy anymore, the way he was back when he was handing that school teacher her comped suite. He's just clear. He sees the building for exactly what it is, a very large, very patient math problem with a lobby, a buffet, and free parking. And he spent 5 ranks learning that the only way to be safe inside that math problem is to never be one of the numbers being solved. Rank 6, Owner. And then the top. Eddie owns the building now. All of it. The tables, the lights that never change, the rooms with no clocks. The 6 ranks of people working underneath him doing exactly what he used to do at every single one of those levels. Eddie has never sat at a table in his life, not as an owner, not ever really, not seriously, not with money that mattered. And here's the part that sits with him some nights in the quiet after the floor closes. The odds that made him rich are the exact same odds that emptied his old VIP client's savings account. Hand after hand, comp after comp, month after month. Same math, same tables, same small percentage, repeated enough times to become destiny. Eddie didn't win by being smarter than the man who lost $340,000 in a month. He didn't win by working harder than the school teacher who thought her Ocean View suite was a gift. He won because somewhere along the way, one rank at a time, one lesson at a time, he ended up standing on the side of the math that always wins. And once you're standing there, you don't have to be lucky. You don't even have to be good. You just have to let time do what time always does in a room with no clocks. He looks out over the floor some nights from a place none of the guests ever see, and he thinks about table 6. The lights, the flat, trained expression on his own face. Years ago, sweeping in someone's rent money with a smile. He was the house then, too. He just didn't own it yet.